All right, Jack, it's official now. If we had any doubt, the NFL is officially, folks, a 12-month, 365-day-a-year operation. Industry never stops. Here we are into the rising heat of June. Teams are going through their OTAs, various around the 32 teams, OTAs, organized team activities, if you're unaware. You know what that is, Jack? That's a collectively bargained piece of language that they're not called practices. Can't have too many of those, according to the collective bargaining agreement. So they call them OTAs. But we now have a new season. Am I wrong about this? The NFL's year-round calendar, the actual season ends in January, starts in September, ends in January. And then it's Super Bowl season, which the hoopla surrounding the biggest event on the planet annually fires up in February, January into February. And then it's NFL Combine season, followed by the fireworks of free agency and the league's year opening in March. That dominates the calendar and the landscape. Then, of course, it's the NFL draft and draft season, followed by the weeks of post-draft recap and conversation, which leads right into the always fun, Jack, May, NFL scheduling season. Who's going to be playing who and when, and what dates and what countries they're going to be playing in. But normally, in past years, June into July would be kind of the deader time, right? If there is one. But not anymore. Now we have something we have to put on our calendar. It's now the annual, and you can plan for it because of that collective bargaining agreement, the NFL's post-June 1 season, which apparently is it's a date on the calendar that's going to deliver blockbuster trades and massive moves that shake the foundation of the league. In June, normally the quiet season where the NBA Finals take center stage and the Stanley Cup Finals and baseball can start to move up, college baseball. Nope, NFL's here because June 1 this week brought at least one, but actually several, oh my gosh, moments, including the move heard around the world as of Monday afternoon, actually Monday morning. Here was Pat McAfee's show.
Holy hell! Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Schefter is reporting. Myles Garrett has been traded to the Los Angeles Rams.
Wow! Who didn't have the same emotion when you heard that? Whenever you heard that or read that? You said you were in a driverless vehicle when you saw the news break on your alert.
Watching Longhorn softball, and it popped up on my phone.
That the Cleveland Browns are finalizing a trade to send the freak Myles Garrett at 30 years old to the L.A. Rams. Well, we also had A.J. Brown officially traded to the Patriots, which we knew was coming, but it's official now. Odell Beckham's out of retirement. He's going to sign with the Giants. And the Falcons have inked their top wide receiver, Drake London, into a 4-year mega deal. So again, it's June. Texans and Cowboys doing their OTAs. It's all going on, but now we're getting these blockbuster trades in June. So the NFL has officially taken over the entirety of the calendar. Because, next they'll take a little bit of a break here, end of June into July, and then it'll be training camp season into the Hall of Fame game. And we're right back into the cycle. So it never stops now. But let's dive back into the Senate, because in addition to making the trade on Monday, yesterday they had a press conference out in L.A. where they introduced Myles Garrett. And I'm sure the same thing happened back in Cleveland with Jared Verse and those draft picks they got. But before we get into that, can we remind everybody what we're talking about here with Myles Garrett? We know he's great, all-time great, but, some of you out there maybe forget he was a schoolboy star, high school star here in Texas, in Arlington Martin. Great player, 5-star recruit, the whole bit. Then on to Texas A&M for 3 dominating seasons in the SEC. I was actually on the field, Jack, right at the pylon when I saw him just destroy Josh Rosen, the UCLA quarterback. We did a trip, and I was standing there probably 40 yards from him, and Myles Garrett came off the edge and absolutely obliterated Josh Rosen, who ended up being a top 10 bust pick in the NFL. But you knew at that moment, you're like, oh yeah, Myles Garrett is different.
Oh, he's special.
The twitch, because I was on the side of the field. He was coming off the right side of the edge. Oh my gosh, first step.
That's not the game they blew the big lead?
We left, but we were there. It was hot. It was a September game against UCLA back in the day. Well, then he was the first pick, one of the easiest first overall picks in any draft back in 2017 by the Browns, and all he's done there on bad teams when Cleveland largely was be a 5-time All-Pro, twice the league's Defensive Player of the Year, 125 and a half sacks, set the record last year for the most sacks in a single season at 23 and a half. Can I play this for you? Here's Jim Schwartz, his defensive coordinator for many of these years in Cleveland. He's been coaching a long time. He described what the Rams are acquiring in Myles Garrett.
One of the most gifted players I think that's ever played in the NFL. I've been 33 years in the NFL, and I've coached a lot of all-pros and guys that are Hall of Famers and everything else. But 2 guys that stand out the most are Calvin Johnson and Myles Garrett. And both of them were so big, and they did things that big guys shouldn't be able to do. Calvin's 6'5", 235, ran 4.3 something, vertical 44, could make cuts like a small guy, first in every drill, just like every minute of every day he was competing. Miles the same way, 6'4.5", 280 pounds. And, he looks like one of those DBs, as far as being ripped, not an ounce of fat on him. He can bend. That's the biggest thing. He can bend going full speed better than any player I've ever seen.
All right, so yeah, that's what I saw from the sidelines at A&M when he was a kid, just a pup. The bend, he's chiseled. He's 280 pounds though, and just a freak. By the way, on the Calvin Johnson Megatron things, you have Megatron and Mega Freak. In shame on the Detroit Lions. I know they're good now with Dan Campbell and company. It's just shameful that they wasted Barry Sanders' career with a bad organization. Forced these guys to retire early. Megatron. We didn't get to see him play in huge games because they were so bad. Even Matt Stafford until he got to the Rams. Shame on them, but they're actually decent now, which they're pretty good now, which is good. But that's what they're getting. So let's walk you through this trade. Here's GM Les Snead, who has already built this thing, F them picks, and built a Super Bowl champion, and now they're doing it again with Matt Stafford. Remember when they acquired Matt Stafford for Jared Goff, they were in the Super Bowl, realized that wasn't good enough because Jared Goff had a ceiling, and they said, well, let's trade Jared Goff and a bunch of our first-round draft picks to get Matt Stafford out of lame Detroit and pair him with Aaron Donald, the best player in the game on defense, and we'll win a Super Bowl. And they did. They also acquired Jalen Ramsey in that stretch to play corner. Remember, this year's Rams team to sign Trent McDuffie, traded for Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs and then signed him. So they're taking the exact same blueprint. But here is Les Snead, the general manager, of how this blockbuster, came together. It didn't just happen this week, I promise you.
When Cleveland made the adjustment to his contract, not sure if it was a signal, they made an adjustment. I've got a good relationship with Andrew Berry, thought I'd just check in. Let's check in. Obviously, Miles and his standing with he's a Cleveland Brown. He's on their Mount Rushmore, so they were a no. But Andrew and I have a good relationship. We like talking about football a good bit, so I would pester him a little bit, probably jokingly at first. Kept doing that, and then we began talking a little more seriously about it. We tried to do this with draft compensation. Then the draft came and went. We picked. Talks back up. We tried to discuss, more draft compensation. At the end of the day, and where it got a little tough for us is they asked for Jared Verse in return. And similar to what Cleveland did at first, we were a no, based on all that Jared's done for our organization. So during May, we kept trying. We tried to work things out, tried to figure out a solution. But as the June 1st date came to, let's call it, as it was getting closer, probably sometime late May there into that weekend, we kind of had a decision to make. We knew where Cleveland stand. They knew where we stood. And then we proceeded to make the trade.
There you go. And that's why the post-June 1 date on your calendar is now important. And he talked about way back in March, they changed up. They accelerated some of the contract. They readjusted what he was – because remember, he just signed this contract last year, the mega deal, made him the highest paid defensive player. But Les Snead was paying attention to, wait a second, why'd they move that money around like that? Why did they do that? That seems odd. And so one GM to another, Andrew Berry, hey, what'd you do that for? We're sniffing around here. Are you open to trading him? Because post June 1, once you do that, it makes the finances of trading him more palatable for both sides. And that accelerates the conversation. And that's why I said yesterday I don't hate what Cleveland did, because they get the draft compensation and they get a 25-year-old pass rusher who's never going to be Myles Garrett, but he's going to be one of the top 3 or 4 pass rushers in the league, certainly in the AFC the next half decade. So I don't hate that trade for Cleveland either. And you see that's how a trade works. I mean, they wanted to do it for draft picks. Cleveland said, nope, we need a pass rusher coming back, and it worked out for both sides, in my opinion. But the side it worked out the most for, as it pertains to 2026, are the LA Rams, because they now have the MVP on offense and the MVP on defense. I mean, think about that, Jack. You had the MVP in Matt Stafford, and Myles Garrett set the sack record and was Defensive Player of the Year. Now they're on the same team. Obviously Myles Garrett's never played on a team with a quarterback like this, never played on a team of this caliber. Myles Garrett was asked when he found out about this trade and when it was going to happen.
I found out about a week ago that this was even a possibility, and it was a surprise. It was a bit of excitement. Being in LA, of a lot of roots here, and knowing that there's a winning culture and some great teammates and great coaches here. I was definitely looking forward to the opportunity. And
yeah, here he is, and he was followed up with, "Hey, I'm sure after how many bad quarterbacks has he played alongside or with in Cleveland?" I guess Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback he ever had. They made the playoffs one year, and they won a playoff game.
Flacco got him there.
Yeah.
I guess.
And then they lost to Houston. Flacco threw all the interceptions against Houston. But now he gets to play with Matt Stafford and gets to watch Matt Stafford in that offense and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and Sean McVay dial up the plays. That's going to help. And here's Myles Garrett. He says, that can't hurt, and certainly looking forward to it.
To get after the quarterback.
That did play into the decision as well. Knowing I have the ability, late game to pin my ears back, not just because we need a play to be made, but because we have the lead and it's obvious passing downs, being able to make those game-changing plays to win the game for us. Those are things that appeal to me. I'm sure appeal to all of us as D linemen. So that is something I really look forward to.
Now, look, he's on a team that doesn't score a lot of points in Cleveland, even at their best. Yet he's still closing games when everyone knows he's the focus. Everyone knows you got to double-team Myles Garrett. But he's still getting sacks in a close game. Well, what if Matthew Stafford delivers a lead? What if, like he did a lot last year, Matthew Stafford and company with the Sean McVay scripted plays? Let's not forget they've got the best offensive player, the best defensive player in the world, and the best head coach in the game, calling the plays, dialing it up with a full-force offense. That's the blueprint. That's what they did with Aaron Donald. Oh, by the way, did you see the story that immediately percolated, Jack, here in June? The new month on the calendar that the NFL apparently is going to dominate because when the trade was consummated and announced, the immediate conversation was, will 35-year-old Rams legend Aaron Donald come out of retirement to play alongside the player who replaced him as the league's most dominating defensive force? Myles Garrett wasn't allowed to win Defensive Player of the Year awards until Aaron Donald stepped aside because he won them every year.
Two generational players.
Oh, all-timers. Look, Myles Garrett only won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards because Aaron Donald was still playing and winning those awards. J.J. Watt in Houston handed those off to Aaron Donald, and it would have been Myles Garrett. Would have been Myles Garrett at the time, but it was Aaron Donald. So now the question is, who's still in great shape? He still works out like, a 25-year-old. And here's a tweet from CBS NFL insider Jordan Schultz. I texted Aaron Donald about coming out of retirement and playing for the Rams alongside Myles Garrett. His response: I'm for sure flirting with the idea. Hell of an opportunity with the Super Bowl at SoFi this year. If I can find the fire, it's a possibility. Well, guess who else was asked about that yesterday? Rams head coach Sean McVay. What do you think about Big 99 coming back?
Listen, if he's interested, there is no... Here's what I would say. You talk to Aaron and you see what he's saying about that. But here's what I would tell you guys overall, too, is... Aaron's a guy that I stay really close in touch with, and I know the respect that he has for Myles. Talk to him about the opportunity to be able to bring him on board. If Aaron decides he wants to dust him off at the age of 35, I bet you he could still do it at a pretty high clip.
Yeah, I bet he could, too, especially if it's only for a couple of months at the end of the year. And
right. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? This is one of those things we always do this where, could this happen? Could that happen? And they're always very far-fetched. And this one sounds far-fetched, but...
Not really.
If Aaron Donald is... He's
still around the organization. He's still working out at their facility all the time. He's only 35.
With this before, but now it seems like this team is stacked. They're ready to go for one more Super Bowl here, maybe 2 more with Matt Stafford on a this year and next year type of deal. So, the Rams, the Seahawks are in their own division were the best team in the league, but I think the Rams were the second best team in the league last year, better than the Patriots.
Yeah, well...
come on.
Oh, Rams were easily the second best team in the league last year by a lot. Rams and Seahawks were far and away. Either one of those teams would have smoked the Patriots in the Super Bowl, or anybody in the AFC delivered. And that's so. If you're a Cowboys fan in the NFC, you're watching this going, "Oh, geez, we've had a good offseason finally, and they're doing this." Because if they have Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald or whatever he is right now, 35 on the field together, that's unblockable. That's unblockable. Because Aaron Donald demanded double teams because no one could stay with him. Much like you heard Jim Schwartz say about Myles Garrett. Guys that big shouldn't be able to run like running backs or defensive backs and bend like that at full speed. Well, that's what Aaron Donald was. Defensive tackles, they're being blocked by offensive guards and centers. They can't stay with Aaron Donald, even double teams. Well, if they're back on the same line with an improved secondary and Chris Shula calling the defense, Sean McVay, everybody might as well just go home if they stay healthy, obviously. But so we'll see. That's point of the whole opening tip. Props to the NFL. They have found a way with their collective bargaining agreement and the salary structures and what they do to create a whole new calendar month post-June 1 month.
Yeah.
Here we go. That'll lead into training camp month and Hall of Fame game, preseason. It never stops.
Yeah, and by the way, the Rams still have like Byron Young and Kobe Turner and
Oh.
a bunch of really good players on that defense. They just had a leaky secondary last year, and they've addressed it.
Well, it is now true since 2016. 2016, that's 10 years.
10 whole years.
And we're through the 2026 draft, so 10 drafts. Every first-round draft pick that the Rams have made in that time has been traded. Mm-hmm. Except for Ty Simpson.
And they only made like three. Well, I guess Ty Simpson makes 3. They only drafted like 3 times.
Yeah, they drafted Jared Goff, traded him. They drafted Jared Verse, traded him for Myles Garrett. And now they've drafted Ty Simpson, and he's the heir apparent to Matt Stafford. But